Maybe I'm just too young or wasn't paying attention, but I can't recall a time when the flu infected 10% of our members of Congress. Right now in Iran, 1 in 10 Iranian MPs, members of parliament, have tested positive for coronavirus, Deputy Speaker said. In fact, one MP has died. Now, it is disputed, but some people are saying it was coronavirus, and several Iranian officials have died. This to me seems like it is a bit worse than the flu. So I think Donald Trump was downplaying it, saying it's like the common flu. It's actually, so I don't want to misquote him because, look, I'm one of the biggest critics of the media when they misquote him. But suffice it to say, this is not the flu. It's worse than the flu. And I don't recall a point at which we've had breaking news stories where 10% or more of a governing body all got sick, with several of them dying. That to me seems, well, kind of alarming. There are crazy videos coming out of Iran that are hard to verify. One of like a kid falling over. They say he's got coronavirus. Hard to know exactly what's going on. But I think it's fair to say that this is traveling fast. One of the reasons why we're seeing the number sort of stagger now is because China has enacted authoritarian reform. Well, not reforms, but actions, essentially dictatorial martial law, locking people down, and people are scared. Outside of China, we're seeing steady growth of coronavirus infections. And in the US, we now have 6 deaths, I believe, in over 100 cases. But that's only because, well, we haven't actually tested everybody. And the FDA is planning on testing people. So the numbers in the US is going to spike. We're already seeing panic buying. The best I can do is say, calm down. But I will tell you, based on what I've read, it's important to state that the mortality rate is decently low, though it is a lot higher than the flu, 10 to 20 times higher. So it's serious. But the big concern is that apparently the people who have gotten it say it hits them hard and hits them fast. That's what's scary. There was one op-ed released where a woman was saying that she got sick, but she felt fine. And then all of a sudden, within hours, she was sick and she had a really high fever. And that's the problem. That's why this is so serious. There's another individual who was on that Diamond Princess cruise ship. Excuse me. And he was saying that he felt completely fine, got on a plane, and then all of a sudden, just boom, he got hit. So people don't know they have it. By the time they do, it might be, that they're getting hit with really hard symptoms and you need to be hospitalized. But here's what we'll do. Let's read about what's going on in Iran, because I think this scenario is like the absolute worst case scenario you'd expect. Government officials getting sick. I mean, I guess they tried to cover this up, downplay it. Well, now you reap the rewards, and it's ravaging their government. BuzzFeed News reports 23 Iranian MPs have so far tested positive for the novel coronavirus, the country's deputy speaker said Tuesday. Abdolreza Mesri told Iranian state television that the MPs had contracted the virus through contact with their constituents. Iran's parliament has 290 seats, so just shy of 1 in 10. Ali Arouzi tweeted, staggering. I don't think any other country's officials have been affected in this way. Iranian state media, quoting Deputy Speaker of Parliament, say 23 MPs have tested positive for the coronavirus. That's not to mention other officials who have contracted it or died of COVID-19. I think we will see very soon many more people in Iran's government getting infected and maybe even dying. Quote, these people have a close relationship with the people, and they carry different viruses from different parts of the country, which may create a new virus. So we recommend the lawmakers to cut off their relationship with the public for now, Mesri reportedly told the Young Journalists Club program. On Tuesday, Iranian health official Ali Reza Raisi said that there were now 2,336 cases of COVID-19 in the country and that 77 people have died. We have this graph here. This is from BuzzFeed News. Total cases in China versus other countries. You can see in China, we saw stable growth up until around the 12th of February in China, when there was a massive spike, jumping from 44,000 up to 66,000. And it has slowly grown since then, slowly tapering off between the second and third, some of the lowest increase in cases we've seen. But this all has to do with whether or not people are being tested. If we don't test them, we don't count the number, it's probably substantially worse. In the United States, there's probably already tens of thousands of people who are infected. If you were to ask me, maybe I'm wrong. Now, check this out. While China has enacted these authoritarian measures, it's going to help them out in a lot of ways. Let's be real. Locking people up, barricading them in their homes. Yeah, that's going to stop the spread of a virus. I'll take freedom, though, and the risks that come with it. with those risks, we can see slow and steady growth now affecting the rest of the world, and it's starting to grow exponentially. So we can see that cases were slowly growing, very slowly. And now, since around the 26th of February, cases outside of China have been jumping. Keep in mind, as we learn more about this and as the news spreads, more people begin to be aware that they may have the virus. They might get tested. Hospitals are going to start testing. So cases will jump, not because people are necessarily getting infected. They probably are, but because we just don't know. So we have this really low number, and this creates a false sense of security. There are 12,152 cases outside of China right now. And you're going to have a lot of people saying, out of the billions of the people on this planet, we only have 12,000 outside of China. Why should I care? Yes. And if they tested literally every single person, it could be 100,000+, which means it's going to start spreading faster and faster. Now, what I wanted to get across in all the other videos I've done, and I'll just reiterate it, one person losing their life is one person too many. So if you want to say like, oh, who cares? It's only got a 2% mortality rate. Okay, then if you want to be responsible for spreading that and other people get sick and lose their lives, even if it's just 2%, you think that's okay? No, we want to stop the flow of this. We want to stop the spread. And I'll ask it again. When people keep saying it's just like the flu, it's no big deal. We had flu season, affected way more people. Why wasn't Iran's politicians wiped out by the flu? This is different. It's traveling as faster, and it's got a much higher mortality rate. BuzzFeed says more people have died in Iran from COVID-19 than in any other country apart from China, where the outbreak originated in late December. But Iran officially has only half the number of cases of South Korea, leading to suggestions that the true amount of people with the virus in Iran may be much higher. So we can see this here. Total deaths in China versus other countries. Now, this is, we saw the amount of cases going up staggering in China, but deaths are actually steadily climbing, although the mortality rate is low. Outside, we can see that from the second to third, there have been people who have lost their lives outside of China, but it seems to have slowed a little bit. Hopefully it stays down. We can see that for the most part, people outside of China are not necessarily dying. So I will add this. If we are seeing thousands of cases in the US, for whatever reason, the death rate isn't that high. And I think the death rate should be a better indicator. So while we probably have many cases, 80% of which are mild symptoms, we're looking at a death rate that's relatively low. The 6 people who lost their lives in Washington, I believe, it was a nursing home. So these are older people, and that's what you can expect with basically any outbreak, epidemic, pandemic, or whatever. BuzzFeed says, last week it was revealed that the head of Iran's anti-coronavirus task force had tested positive for the virus shortly after downplaying the impact of the coronavirus in Iran. That seems to make sense. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Contagion, but the Kate Winslet, I think the actress was, she eventually catches it too, because let's be real. If you're working on this, you're going to increase your chance of exposure to the virus. Several Iranian officials have died. They go on to list them. They say Mohammad Mirmohammadi, referred to as a confidant of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and Hadi Khosrowshahi, a senior cleric and the former ambassador to the Vatican. Newly elected MP Mohammad Ali Ramazani Dastik died on Saturday in disputed circumstances, with conflicting reports whether he had flu or COVID-19. Also on Tuesday, it was reported by the LNA and Tasnim news agencies that the head of Iran's emergency medical services, Pirosane Kolivand, had been infected with the novel coronavirus. So one of the challenges, the important thing that you need to realize, this is new. With no immunity, it will spread fast or faster than, say, the flu, and it's got a higher mortality rate. I know, forgive me if I said it already, but these are the things that you need to consider and why it's likely affecting these countries much more heavily than the flu has. So when someone tells you it's fine, I mean, don't panic, don't freak out, but take it seriously. We have a story here from Newsweek, coronavirus U.S. outbreak update. New cases confirmed in Georgia, California, Oregon, and Washington. Newsweek reports the virus has claimed the lives of 4 more people in the U.S., raising the death toll to 6, all of which are reported to be in Washington. At least 12 more have been infected in the state, while new cases have also been confirmed in Georgia, California, and Oregon. The deadly virus, which was first reported in Wuhan City, we know that. So Washington declares another state of emergency. This I did cover, so we know, but I want to go through some of these updates with you. The governor's declaration directs state agencies and departments to utilize state resources and do everything reasonably possible to assist affected communities responding to and recovering from COVID-19. We also have Georgia reporting its first cases, more cases in California, and now Florida. Oregon sees its third case, and Florida, it has been confirmed now by the CDC that some suspected cases are in fact confirmed. And over in Washington, we have this tweet from a reporter from King Seattle. The Lake Washington Institute of Technology, 22 students and faculty who visited the Kirkland nursing home, where multiple people contracted coronavirus, are now being told 3 days after the cases are confirmed, they should self-quarantine. You know what? It probably makes a lot of sense to self-quarantine, but I have to wonder if it's too little too late. So here we have a tweet thread about Iran. I think Iran could essentially serve as maybe a canary in the coal mine for how serious this might be, or it could be a good example of what not to do. Don't downplay this, take serious action. I'm not super familiar with who Ali is, but this thread has gone massively viral, 24,000 retweets. He says, coronavirus epidemic in Iran has passed the crisis level. The country is imploding. Law and order to disappear in the next days. A number of officials already died and mass infection among hospital staff and police forces reported. He says, Iran corona, all of this why? The regime hid the initial cases since 1. It was just before election and they needed a high turnout. 2, due to political need, did not stop flights to China. 3, source seems to be cleric students from China arrived in Qom. 4, did not close religious shrines. We saw some reporting that people were licking the shrines, but I'll tell you what, man, it's Super Tuesday. Democrats need record voter turnout. How many people are scared and not going to show up in some of these states? Not only that, there's severe weather in some as well. I think it's possible we see a really low voter turnout, which is bad news for Democrats. Maybe bad news for Joe Biden. I think Bernie Sanders supporters want the revolution. They're going to go out no matter what. We can see similarities, though. It was just before an election in Iran and they needed high turnout. Well, here in the U.S., we got a lot of people downplaying coronavirus as well, which could backfire, particularly on the, it could backfire on the Democrats. I mean, maybe they'll get their votes and then things get bad. Ali goes on to say, instead of providing information on the gravity of the risks to the public, played down and resorted to the same tactic of rhetoric, we will fight and beat it. Now it is spread everywhere. The world now has an example on what failure to contain the virus can do. Ali says, my parents, brother and uncles and in-laws there, and I am so worried about them. In the below, I will bring some examples of what is going on and alleged reports in the lack of official reports. There is really no way to confirm or deny any of the below. An MP who was elected during the election 2 weeks ago has died. He was from the province of Gilan. There is a video of him of him spreading when he was just infected. I don't know what that means, spreading. A hardline filmmaker tweeted just before election that he has flu and wished he had corona to show off. He has passed away now. Wow. A number of graves being dug seems to be related to high casualty of corona in the province of Gilan. An airline staff collapsing in the airport. It is reported he passed away, just like the other video we saw of the kid passing out and falling down in the street, struggling to get up. This morgue ambulance was reported to have been abandoned after carrying a victim of coronavirus in Mazandaran province with no official reported infections. A clinic in the south of Iran has been torched by angry locals after allegedly 10 corona patients were transferred to the center. Jeez, this is crazy. Out of 100 MPs tested, 5 were positive. Well, that number's up. This is from a few days ago. One of the president's deputies, Masuma Ebtekar, has been infected. Meanwhile, there is denial going on by the religious base of the regime. This person is licking the shrine to prove that the shrine has a healing power. Could be why many people are getting infected in Iran. I kid you not. The casualty among the medical staff has been very high. A number of them already died. Meanwhile, the parliament is considering recognizing the medical victims as martyr. Wow. Ex-intelligence minister Mostafa Pourmohammadi has been hospitalized. Among the medical staff, there was a number of reports of casualty among doctors in the province of Gilan. Information police has arrested a number of people spreading what was claimed to be fake news. This person from the hardline base of the regime is threatening any of the medical staff in reporting what he alleges fake news. An ex-coach of a local football team in the province of Gilan has passed away due to the corona. So this is crazy. This is all from the past several days. Let me scroll down. Look at this. There's been a number of cases seen that victims collapse on the streets, similar to what was reported in China. Tell me this is the flu. Tell me it's as bad as the flu. I'm not buying it. I think it's way worse. I'm not saying the end is nigh. I really want people to remain calm because going out and panic buying at shops, too little, too late. But I'll tell you what, flu season happens every year. Is there a political reason, a media reason why we don't see people just dropping in the streets, collapsing? I don't know. Do people with flu go out and then pass out? I don't see it. It could be because coronavirus hits so hard and so fast that people feel fine. They go out and all of a sudden get hit with all the symptoms and they hit the deck. Currently, there are no signs of widespread chaos or mayhem on the streets. The schools in several provinces are closed for 40 days, but most shops remain open. Although there are some reports of shops closing voluntarily, many sports events and concerts have been canceled. They say an Iraqi reporter in Tehran has now been infected. This is crazy. This thread's huge. I'm going to try and load more of what this guy's thread is and try and get one of his later tweets now, because all of this is from February 29th. What's happening in Iran seems to be absolutely crazy. A hardline cleric from Qom passed away due to COVID-19 3 days ago and was buried today. Bodies have been reported to be buried deeply in the ground and covered in lime and alkaline minerals. So he had to make a new thread. I guess the thread got too big. But you know what? I'm not going to keep reading. I think you get the point. What we've seen in China, people collapsing in the streets, being carried away on stretchers, the reaction from the governments in China, South Korea, and now and the failures in Iran says to me that this is it's bad. It really, really is. It's going to be bad. The U.S. is going to start testing people. We're going to see cases skyrocket. And I think it is absolutely fair to say supply chain disruption seems likely. Now, I haven't noticed anything in my area because I went shopping early, so I don't know what's going on at the local stores. But as more information about this comes out, don't be surprised if people start, freaking out. There was a big rally yesterday in the market, the biggest gains in history. Well, now that as of right now, there's a big sell-off after the Fed cut interest rates by about 0.5%. We've seen a reaction from the G7. This is an international crisis nearing pandemic. So far, the World Health Organization has been reticent to call it a pandemic, calling it an outbreak, but we're getting really, really close. At the same time, you have people on the left and the right saying everything's fine. And this is what's crazy. It's so crazy to me. There's a lot of people who don't want to admit this could get bad, probably because we're skeptics. We've seen it all before. Outbreaks in the news. This seems different. When SARS happened, did we get wall-to-wall coverage of people collapsing in the streets, of government officials in Iran collapsing? We didn't. I didn't see it. And it was only a few thousand people, I think, who actually ended up dying from it. We're well beyond that now. It was like 700. So we're well beyond that now. This might not reach insane levels, but when we saw Ebola and there was the freak out, that didn't even leave the country for the most part, or the countries it was in. It was mostly, I think, in like Congo. I could be wrong. Or maybe I've got the country wrong. It was mostly contained. It didn't spread around the world the way this is. Coronavirus people are asymptomatic and they're spreading it. That's what's scary. And when you see videos of people collapsing in the street, I hope you all take this seriously. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/Timcast. It is Super Tuesday. This is going to be fun. I will see you all in the next segment. Thanks for hanging out.